Ти щось маєш поняття в апаратурі озвучення? Ні. Ні?
А що, нема діджея сьогодні?
Та вона хоч би включити і можете собі пустити на апаратуру. Сука, ніхто на телефон не відповідає.
А де машина?
Вон все вже стоїть. Вона тухнула з батареї.
А Павла питали? Павло. Яке питання? Сьогодні яке питання?
Питання, що буде Трамп робити?
Що буде Трамп?
І,
А відповідь?
і скільки він вазеліну буде використовувати, коли Путін буде обробляти сраку?
Алло.
Слава Україні, Богдан. Треба питання, подумай. Питання.
Чи дозволить Трамп Путіну дістати, що він хоче у цих договорах?
А може, знаєш як запитати, чи закінчиться війна після 100 днів, як він казав? Він 100 днів дав.
Він недавно дав цьому Кіт Келлог своєму там.
Пишемо так.
Чи закінчиться війна за 100 днів? Непогано.
Все.
Думаю, що так. Можливо, мабуть, навіть і менше, ніж 100.
Так, а де тут? А сьогодні діджея нема?
Ні,
Хто на апаратурі?
не знаю, як зараз будемо з цим мати справу. Якщо ні, то буду я так говорити з людьми, як Speaker's Corner люблю. А як по-іншому? Коли закінчаться протести, що, Віталік, будеш робити? В Speaker's Corner підеш знімати людей?
Можна. Ти підеш?
Можу десь піти, можу.
Можна.
У нас...
на спікер-корнері є русскоязичні?
Є пара людей, що час від часу приходять, але там чисто за Росією, як тобі сказати, є люди, що дуже ненавидять Британію і дуже ненавидять Америку. А за Росію їм пофіг, чесно тобі скажу. Вони Росію типу підтримують, просто тому що Росія проти Америки, проти Британії. Насправді їм пофіг Росії. Вони не росіяни. Це зазвичай там всякі джихадисти, комуняки, таке підло. Ні, чеченців не бачив. Чеченців не бачив.
А коли там на спікер-корнері один раз прийшов?
В неділю прийшов. В якій годині? Ввечері. Не знаю, що мало би бути. Може, не знаю, що сталося. Може, ти на то місце зайшов. То в Google Maps можна покласти Speaker's Corner, але він показує точно
Там
місце.
де кафе, там де...
Там є кафешка. Да, як від Marble Arch заходиш, там кафешка в парку, там якраз Speaker's Corner. Ну, не знаю, це місце правильно. Мабуть, приїду, якщо нас протестів не буде, то, мабуть, буде ходити час від часу.
Так, вопросы я что-то не могу сделать сегодня, вопрос. Хотел вопрос сделать, но вопрос не могу сделать. Богдан Роланд. Слава Украине. Сегодня без ограничений можем писать. Но пишут только те, кто подписался на меня. Ограничения я убрал другие. Кто задонатит 2 фунта, тут может задать вопрос, который мы зададим Павлу, который ответит вам лично.
будуть там боти сміятися. Не можуть підключити.
Денег не дали.
Да, мені мої 200 фунтів не дали сьогодні. Да. 200 фунтів, лохи. Alright, I think we're gonna start like this. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Good evening, my friends. Today we're going to start this rally with a little bit less technology. Maybe later on we'll have this lovely microphone finally working, but for now I'm going to keep it in the pocket for safekeeping. Now, as you all know, we usually start the rally with the Ukrainian anthem. Today, Михайло, будь ласка, без цього. Так не люблю цю фігню. Так її не люблю. It never works. This thing never works, man. It just ruins everything. You know, it's big, it's heavy, it's awkward, it's just very, very bad. But anyway, my friends, who knows how to sing here? Where are the singers? Do you ladies know how to sing? You sing well. Come here, get over here,
Come.
Here. Everyone who knows how to sing, come here. I need some singers here. I need some proper singers. We're gonna sing the Ukrainian anthem. And all of you, especially you, Ilya.
We are Ukraine. We are proud to Ukraine. Stay with Ukraine.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. That's a good man. Right there. Now, my friends, everyone who knows the Ukrainian anthem, who knows how to sing at least a little bit, will have to sing with us. All right? So, let's go.
Ще не вмерла України, ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці, душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава, слава, слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть, смерть, смерть!
Thank you very much to all the people who sang along with us. Thank you for your help. You guys know that, I'm not very comfortable singing on the thing. I appreciate it. But I have a phobia of those things. I'm joking. I don't have any phobia of that. But I just don't really like those things very much. They never work when I work with them. When I try to make them work. It never works. Just like my computer at home. But anyway, my friends, less of that. Let's talk about the things that actually matter. So, Trump's rhetoric lately has improved substantially. It's much better than it used to be. In fact, not too long ago, he released actually a very good tweet that was started very poorly by Trump saying, I respect the Russian people, I respect the Russian culture, blah, blah, blah. Kind of nonsense, my friends, kind of nonsense. A bad way to start a speech, a bad way to start a tweet. However, he did improve later on. He went on saying that Russia is really gut. And he said that Putin better choose the easy way. Thank you very much for coming. That the Russian economy is in the gut, and they better accept this deal, or else it's going to be very bad for them. It's going to get very, very ugly for them. No, he's right. If the United States of America wanted, they could just snap their fingers and get Russia to do whatever they want Russia to do. It's very easy. Russia can't do anything about it. However, because of the many voices of appeasement and these conspiracy theories and the Russophiles and a lot of Russian money flowing into the information sphere of the free world, because of all of that, we are where we are right now. Once again, talking about the same topics we were talking about years ago. Why? How come people still don't know? I'll tell you why, my friends. It's because the governments of the free world are not taking the Russian threat seriously enough. Even now, after all these years, they're still not taking them seriously. Even after all the damage Russia has done worldwide, what percentage of the conspiracy theories that exist in the information sphere nowadays were created by the Russians? A myriad of them. You know why they do it? They do it to confuse people. Because they created a post-truth society within Russia. And they want to create a post-truth society outside of Russia also. Because if people don't know where's the truth and where's the lie, they will be far more willing to believe in these idiotic worldviews that Russia loves to pitch in their general direction. Now that is the problem, my friends. We have to know better. This country needs to be strong for the future to come. And same for America, same for the whole free world. They need to remember their origins. People of the West need to remember their values, they need to remember their culture, they need to remember their history. They need to remember, above all, who their enemies are, who the people who want to destroy them are. They need to start seeing it very clearly. The Russian terrorist regime cooperates closely with the Ayatollah regime in Iran, with the North Korean regime, and yes, with China nowadays. Oh, does the microphone work? Fair enough.
Russia!
That's right, that's right. Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, good man. Love the flag. Proper flag of St. George, right there. Very good. You know, Union Jack, for those who don't know, it's the flag of the 3 different crosses. St. George, St. Patrick, and St. Andrew. That is very important, you know. That is some very important history of the British flag. And it is one of the flags with the most history. Now, the Russian symbols, my friends, their history is that of theft. They stole the 2-headed eagle from the Byzantine Empire.
One, two. All right, so hopefully I will not have to ruin my voice speaking today. Hopefully I can just speak. I won't have to shout. But you know, thank you for the participation from this gentleman here. I'd like to also say that anyone who wants to participate themselves, to ask a question or anything like that, you're perfectly free to do so. Because here we respect the British values. And one of those values is freedom of expression. To be able to speak unafraid of the consequences. Of course, there is a very important detail to that. And that is the quorum. To have the quorum in a conversation. Not just start, you know, insulting others left, right, and center. That is very important. But if people want to participate, if people want to let their opinion be known, they should do that. That is the power that people have in a free society. And countless people in the past have died so that we, nowadays, would have the privilege of being able to speak unafraid of immediate consequences to our safety. That is very important. Let's never underestimate the importance of these values, my friends. Now, once again, coming back to Trump, which is always a very popular topic nowadays. A lot of people worldwide think, what is Trump's presidency going to bring? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Is it going to be catastrophic? Or is it going to improve the world substantially? Now, Now, my friends, I believe that some things Trump says should be criticized. However, Trump seems to be an individual who is, for better or for worse, a man of action. He is going to bring some change. Some people may not like it. Maybe that change is going to work for better, maybe for worse. However, in our world nowadays, we need that action. We need to take action ourselves. Because the previous administration, although Biden's administration has had a good rhetoric in terms of Ukraine, they did not really do that much. Sure, they did the bare minimum to keep Ukraine going, but they never really wanted to bring down the Russian terrorist regime for good. They never wanted to help Ukraine win. They wanted to help Ukraine survive. And that is the real problem. Now, Trump has said it very clearly. He's going to offer a deal. If Putin denies that deal, well, it's going to get very ugly. Trump has already implied he would send more aid to Ukraine if Putin denies his deal. But what exactly is Trump's deal? He already kind of hinted at it to some extent. And you know what? Lavrov, the horse face, one of the individuals, one of these spokespeople of the Russian terror. Thank you very much. Thank you. One of these spokespeople of the Russian terrorist regime, Lavrov, he already started saying that they were going to veto the American peace plan. They didn't even hear it properly yet. And they're already saying, oh, we're going to veto them. You know what the Russians were saying when the American elections were ongoing? The Russians were seemingly more supportive of Trump, but in reality, the Russians were not supportive of Trump. In reality, the Russians were supportive of dissent in the United States of America, as much dissent as humanly possible. They wanted chaos. They wanted war. They said it themselves. I remember very well some of these Russian spokespeople. They were in the nation. And they were asked, who do you want to win in America, Trump or Biden? You know what they said? They said, we want civil war in America. That's what they said. They are not even trying to hide it. My friends, these individuals, they are the enemy of the United Kingdom, the enemy of the United States, the enemy of the free world.
А YouTube маєш, так? YouTube маєш?
Start seeing this.
Ні, в YouTube.
Europe
Інтернет
has
дуже
been
поганий.
demilitarizing
Він
for
каже, зразу
generations
включати.
now.
Ні, треба буде повідомлення буде перерва скачати, потім на
Seemingly,
літачок
there was no
включаємо.
point in having big militaries and a lot of investment into one military. However, that assumption has been proven wrong. Poland, fortunately, is starting to rearm at breakneck speed. Germany, the UK, France have also started investing more money into their military, which is great. It's exactly what we need, my friends. Arms keep peace. This is an ancient Roman saying. It could not hold true nowadays. When you have psychopaths at your doorstep, and they tell you, oh, you know, if you start arming, I'm going to feel threatened and I'm going to attack you. So what are you going to do? Option A, you're going to stop arming in order to not, quote-unquote, escalate. Option B, you're going to arm yourself enough so that in case of an attack, you can defend yourself. My friends, I'm sorry, but if you pick A, you're suicidal. You should go to a psychiatrist, probably. But I jest, my friends. In reality, if somebody tells you, somebody threatens you in your face, tells you, oh, you know, you start developing your military, I'm going to see that as a threat, I'm going to attack you then. That is not an invitation to start disarming. That is a warning for you to start arming quicker, for you to be able to defend yourself, to build alliances. In times of peace, we prepare for war. Because if we do not prepare for war in times of peace, well, then war comes. And what happens then? We will be caught with our pants down. That's what's going to happen. My friends, it very much hurts me to say this. But Ukraine was not quite prepared when Russia attacked Ukraine. A lot of people were doing exactly the same thing that certain politicians in the West are doing now. They're saying, oh, you know, Russia, they're our friends, they're our brothers, they would never attack us. That's what some politicians in Ukraine were saying. How did that end up for Ukraine? Look what happened. My friends, one of these main quote-unquote demands Putin keeps making is, demilitarization, denazification of Ukraine. So I'm going to ignore this idea of denazification because it's just laughable at best. All we have to do is to look at the Wagner Group, at Rusich, at Sparta Battalion. We can see the Russian military employs these neo-Nazis in mass. So all of these accusations of Nazis in Ukraine, they're just the pot calling the kettle black. We're not even going to focus on that garbage. But demilitarization, that's a funny one. That's a very funny one, Putin was saying he was going to demilitarize Ukraine. What do people think Ukraine was doing before the beginning of this war? And no, I don't mean the full-scale invasion. I mean the first invasion of Ukraine by Russia all the way back in 2014. When they invaded Crimea, when they annexed Crimea, when they destabilized the Donbass, when they sent their troops to Donbass, to Donetsk and Luhansk, and started fighting against the Ukrainians. What do you think was happening before that? For those who don't know, I'll tell you myself. Ukraine had been demilitarizing, giving up their Soviet weapons for years before that. They had already given up most of their weapons. And crucially, they had given up all of their nuclear arsenal, the whole thing. The third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. Now, sometimes the point is made that Ukraine did not have access to the nuclear codes. That is correct. That is true. However, my friends, a lot of the scientists, a lot of the know-how, a lot of the materials, a lot of the factories were at least partially responsible for making those nuclear weapons were in Ukraine. Ukraine had the ability to disassemble and reassemble those nuclear weapons. That was real power at the hands of the Ukrainian people. You know what they did? I mean, in hindsight, apparently it was a mistake. But they decided to make a move for peace.
Сережа, ты мне как деньги вернешь? 100 баксов, если ты проиграешь.
What did Russia do? Same Russia always does. They spat in the face of peace. They spat in the face of international laws. They invaded Ukraine with the stupidest, silliest, most pathetic excuses one could make for invading another country. Oh, look at him, he's a Nazi. Oh, look at him, he's a Satanist. Oh, look at him, he's this and that and this and that. And insert whatever conspiracy theory you want to make here. Friends, it's time to wake up. We live in the modern world. We don't live in the Middle Ages. It's not enough to point the finger and shout, burn the witch, to get angry mobs with pitchforks and torches to attack you. I mean, hopefully it's not enough. Sometimes it seems like it is, occasionally. But politicians, like for example George Galloway in this country, people cannot listen to these individuals. They should not be listening to them. Because these individuals, they always support terrorist regimes like Russia. They always do it. We counter-protest against the hypocritical self-proclaimed Stop the War coalition. Very funny people, truly. They came here once with a letter for 10 Downing Street. And they said, we need to stop arming Ukraine and then we end the war like that. That's right, that's going to end the war. Very interesting, imagine this situation. A man in the middle of the street right now gets attacked by another man who starts punching him. So the man who is getting attacked, he starts punching back. So what do people do? Do we try to separate and do we want the police to stop the fight? Do we help the man who's getting attacked? Or do we surround them and start trying to browbeat the man who's defending himself, telling him, really shouldn't escalate, I know you got attacked. I know you're defending yourself, but really should not escalate. You see, that guy is bigger than you. You shouldn't escalate against him. Just take the beating, man. Take the L. That's it. My friends, that's not how things work. If you simply keep getting beaten up and abused by others and you do nothing about it, what's going to happen is that you're going to keep being abused forever. The mentality of a bully does not prioritize the abuse itself. It prioritizes lack of accountability. It prioritizes the bully doing what he wants to do and then getting away with it. Why do you think bullies never abuse people who are bigger than them? Why do you think in all of these movies the bully goes for the small, lanky guy who can fight back? It's because the bully doesn't want to get a bloody nose. My friends, if you're about to get beaten out, you're certainly not going to start bullying someone just to get a few broken teeth or something. That is why, my friends, we need to show Russia that there will be consequences to their actions. No matter what kind of empty threats they decide to make up, we need to stand together as the free world. Because that is the only way for us to have a better future. All together, we will win!
All together!
All together, we will win!
Богдан,
All
дуже дякую.
together, we
We
will
will win!
Fight the jets for Ukraine!
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 Air defense for Ukraine! Air defense for Ukraine! Air defense for Ukraine! Long-range missiles for Ukraine! Long-range missiles for Ukraine! Long-range missiles for Ukraine!
Там є ще такі,
Let Ukraine strike back!
Let
Let Ukraine strike back! Let Ukraine strike back! Russia is a terrorist state! Russia is a terrorist state! Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
I'd like to remind you all, my friends, that our rallies happen here on Wednesdays at 6, on Fridays at 6, and on Sundays at 3 o'clock. So please come here, show your support. It's very important that you do. And also, I'd like to remind everyone, we are always open to interact with the people. You might want to participate, join us, add their voice to ours, or alternatively to ask a couple of questions, which we are happy to answer. You know, the other day, I remember, there was this lovely couple from the Netherlands who came here and asked us a couple of questions. They asked us, why? Why do we stand here? Why do we do this? It's a fair question. I'm sure many people who go by us are thinking that in their minds themselves. I would hope that they would ask that question, because there's no problem with asking that. We are here, my friends, because many people still do not know what Russia is about. Many people do not know how Russia influences them and their lives as we speak. Many people don't know that there are people in this world who wish them harm, and the worst kind of it. Many people don't know about this. There was a time when the Ukrainians did not know this. When the Ukrainians did not know that Russia was preparing to attack them at night and take over the whole country and kill and exterminate anyone who would oppose their views for the world. Now, those days are gone, my friends. Now, the people who do not know, the Ukrainians who do not know, don't know because they don't want to know. But most of them do know, my friends. And so should you. So should everyone in the world know what Russia is about, so that you do not have to go through the same terrifying fate that befell the Ukrainian people at the hands of the Russian terrorist regime. They started this war, escalated this war, from every single attempt of a peace agreement. And now refuses to even agree to some kind of a peace deal brokered by the United States. It's truly laughable. What else is laughable is that Russia sees itself, defenses itself, as an equal of the United States of America. Funny. Russia's getting a bloody nose in Ukraine. And yet we're supposed to believe that they're on the same level as the United States. Russia used to be one of the biggest arms salesmen to the world. Now,
Спочатку
almost no
було
one wants
дуже
to buy
багато
Russian weapons.
помилок.
Why might that be?
Спочатку
Because
дуже
they
багато
proved themselves
помилок
to
було.
be ineffective on the battlefield.
Спочатку, коли?
However, although
Февраль,
Russia is not
март,
on the same level as the United
Коли
States,
вони
although Russia would get
Їх же судять
annihilated
оці
by
ж
NATO,
за
Russia
23-й рік.
would win in a
24-й
one
даже. Ось,
versus
за
one
24-й
fight
рік.
against any European country at this moment.
залежно вже
Simply because they would keep throwing things at the
Це
enemy.
ж проба тільки,
If it
проба.
were a one
Гадять і
versus
далі
one, they would
підуть.
win.
Що ж це?
Because the Europeans have let themselves undefended for too long. They have been demilitarizing for such a long time. That the Russian
Ясно,
stockpiles
що
of
помилок. Ну
old
це ж
Soviet
помилки, а
weapons
що
might
за
just do the
помилки? Що
trick.
судити? Помилки то таке.
That is why it's so important for us to always remember that our strength lies in our freedom. Our strength lies in our unity. Not in strength of numbers, not in the amount of tanks left in the garages or whatnot, in the bunkers, but in our ability to adapt to the new world. The Russian terrorist regime cannot create a better world because they cannot envision that better world. The only thing they see is the past, how things were in the past, their rigid command and control structure. This was very visible in many conflicts around the world. This is very visible in many militaries in this world. I remember very well when the war in Iraq was happening, that the Iraqi military simply could not react to the United States military. Why? Because they had a rigid structure, because they took a page out of the book of the Soviet Union. But my friends, I don't want to change topics too much. We are here to talk about Ukraine. We are here to talk about the future of the world and why Ukraine matters. And on that note, it's very important to mention something quite tragic that happened just a few days ago. A video resurfaced online of 6 Ukrainian prisoners of war being executed by the Russian terrorist regime. They were forced to crawl on their knees. They were forced to demean themselves. Their humanity was taken away by the animals who forced them to do those things. Those brave men, they did not deserve that. They did not deserve to be treated like that. No one deserves, no human being deserves to be treated like that. And yet, for the Russian terrorist regime, the Geneva Convention is a joke.
в Лондоні
They
є.
don't care about any convention signed. They don't care if they were part of that signature, if they signed it themselves. They don't care about any of that. The only thing they care is whether or not they will get away with breaking the rules they want to break. That is the Russian mentality. Needs to be said. Unfortunately, you know, Arestovich has said some very unsightly things, very bad things about those poor men who were tortured and who were executed. In his usual way, he started demeaning those men. It's very disgusting, my friends. I think we cannot judge people who are being held at gunpoint. We cannot judge if they crawl or if they beg for survival. We cannot judge them. No one knows how they will start acting in front of a gun's muzzle pointed at them. It's very easy to say, oh, you know, I would be a big man. I would say, no, I will not do any of this. But what if you were tortured for days, for weeks, for months, and then you were forced to do those things? No one can know for sure, my friends. But there is one thing that we can know. We know for certain that the Russian terrorist regime needs to be held accountable for all of these crimes. We know for certain that we cannot let them get away with this. We know for certain we cannot let them win. Because who knows how many more people will be forced to do such actions, will be forced to crawl on their knees, and will be shot in the head next if the Russian terrorist regime wins. Who knows? if it's going to be the children of the people of this great country who will be forced to do such actions. If Ukraine falls, Russia takes over the manpower and the resources in Ukraine and then continues its war against the rest of Europe, against the rest of the world. Russia has no borders. That is a saying that Putin keeps repeating over and over again. Russia has no borders. What it means is they will push until there is pushback. They will attack until they are struck down. That's exactly what we should all aim for. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Slava Nazi! Thank you very much. Thank you. You're always welcome here. Ukraina!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Thank you, Britain!
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 Now, my friends, we will have a short musical break. Слава Україні!
Слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі! Ворогам України тричі! Друзі, я б хотів трішки два слова сказати по-українськи також, особливо за цю ситуацію з Арестовичем. Дуже неприємна ситуація. Арестович знову відкриває пащу там, де не треба було нічого казати. І тепер почав насміхатись над цими людьми, над 6 воїнами, яких примусили йти на колінах перед тим, як їх всіх застрелили московіти. І дуже неприємно бачити, як Арестович, людина, яку раніше поважали українці, тепер починає так випендрюватись перед всім світом. І нам самим дає погане ім'я. Він часто вже йшов на всякі програми русофілів і розказував, як там, Зеленський те, Зеленський се. Ну, вибачте, люди, Зеленського можна критикувати скільки хочете, день і ніч. Але не можна це казати, що все, треба Зеленського вже знімати, треба вже бунт, вже все, революція. Вибачте, але якраз цього хочуть московіти. Чому ви думаєте, що Арестовича якраз беруть на свої програми всякі русофіли? Якраз через таку ситуацію. От мені також подобається тут у телефоні Віталіка. Іноді люблю так подивитись, посміятись трішки. Всякі боти пишуть всяку нісенітницю. Ну, про що вони пишуть? В головному матюкаються. Направо, наліво матюкаються за все. Це нема навіть сенсу за це говорити. Але одна з головних речей, що вони кажуть, знаєш, там патріоти України, вони найбільші патріоти за кордоном. Це дуже смішно. Дуже смішно для мене, друзі. От чому би московіти, люди, які хочуть, щоб Росія виграла цю війну, чому б вони скаржились, що українці мають патріотизм за кордоном? А я вам скажу чому. Бо вони якраз знають, що за кордоном це зробить якусь зміну у світі. Тому що якщо за кордоном люди будуть підтримувати Україну, це означає, що в Україні є підтримка, що в Україні є зброя, що в Україні є гуманітарка. Це означає, що їм важче буде виграти цю війну, тому що Україна сама по собі не змогла би цю війну виграти. Ніколи. У нас недостатньо є зброї, недостатньо людей, щоб почати їх кидати як м'ясо, так як московіти кидають свої. І це ніколи навіть не можна було б таке робити. Тому чому вони завжди скаржаться? А тому, що вони хочуть всіх нас заткнути. Тому що вони хочуть, щоб українці за кордоном почали їх ловити так за совість. Ну він правий, я за кордоном. Ну я просто буду мовчати в тряпочку, нічого не скажу. Ні, неправильно. Українцям за кордоном більше всіх треба говорити. Більше всіх треба людям казати, що відбувається в Україні. Без Заходу Україна стане Росією, друзі. Дуже швидко. Але з допомогою Заходу всі ці війни, що Україна програла в минулому, супротив Бандери, Махна і інших героїв України, це більше не повториться. Бо в минулому Україна програвала, тому що Україна була сама проти більшої Росії, де їх у рази більше людей і в рази більше техніки часу. Тому нам, друзі, не можна слухати цю нісенітницю за те, що патріот за кордоном. Так. Хто хоче себе називати патріотом за кордоном, той себе називає патріотом за кордоном. Головне – це інформувати людей за кордоном, щоб вони підтримували Україну. Якби кожен українець, чоловік, жінка, дитина пішли в Україну в цей момент, все лишили, пішли всі в Україну на фронт. Україна би все рівно програла цю війну. Якби Україні не дали ту зброю, яка Україні потрібна. От в цьому все питання між перемогою і поразкою. Якщо Україна дістане зброю, яка їй потрібна, ця війна буде виграна за місяць. Якщо Україна не дістане тої зброї, у нас не буде майбутнього. Тому, друзі, завжди смішно почитати, що боти пишуть онлайн. Мені завжди це смішно почитати. Але нам ніколи не можна дозволяти, щоб це нас брало за живе. Завжди треба розуміти, що ці люди намагаються залізти нам під шкіру. всім чим можуть, вони завжди спробують нам прокрутити місце, закрутити гайки в місці, так як московити робили минулого. І також, друзі, я вам нагадую ще раз, що в Росії мільйони українців, всі русифіковані. Прийшов час нагадати цим людям, хто вони такі. Прийшов час нагадати тим українцям, що залишились у окупованих територіях, і які якоби підтримують Росію, нагадати їм, хто вони такі. І тільки тоді, коли ті українці, що живуть у Росії, також будуть мати волю від Росії, от тоді можемо вже говорити за те, що все, більше не треба мати розмови, більше не треба дивитися на ту Росію, 1000 років вона не потрібна. Не можна жити так, що просто закриваємо очі, уявляємо собі, що Росія не існує. Нам треба розуміти російську опозицію, нам треба розуміти російську політику, нам треба розуміти, чому вони почали цю війну, нам треба розуміти, як ми їх переможемо. Це головне. Розуміти ворога, щоб ворога могти перемогти. І ті люди, які воюють за Україну, хоча вони московіти, їх також треба поважати. Тому що ці люди проливають свою кров за краще майбутнє. А таких людей не можна зневажати ніколи. Thank you very much, my friends. That was my short speech in Ukrainian. I apologize to all the English speakers. But in our meetings, we discuss that occasionally we should have some speeches in Ukrainian. It's important, so that we do not lose our identity in a way. They don't need to be informed. They know. They know Russia attacked. They know that Russia betrayed. They know that what Russia is capable of. It is the people in the free world that are not yet aware fully the full extent of Russian atrocities, the full extent of the Russian war crimes. They do not know it. I mean, why would they? They live cushy lives in a peaceful country. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. We never judge people for doing what's best for themselves personally. In fact, we encourage people to do what's best for themselves. However, there's a big difference between closing your eyes to what's going on, just to have a comfortable little existence, and making sure you take care of your long-term future. There's a big difference between those two things, my friends. What we stand here for today, and every day we come here to 10 Downing Street, is to let people know that their future is at stake in this war that may not be fought on British soil, but is being fought for exactly the same values that so many people died for in this country. And the thing about these so-called foreign wars that many people say the British people should not support, the thing is, if you do not support your allies, my friends, then these foreign wars may as well very quickly become local wars. Borders change. The Russian terrorist regime has decided to reshape the world's borders. The question is, what is the free world going to do about it? Is it going to be, oh, you know, my house is elsewhere, I don't care? Is it going to be, oh, you know, they're not our neighbors, we don't care? Or is it going to be, thank you very much, is it going to be Russia is a terrorist state, an aggressive and expansionistic terrorist state, and we need to stay united so that we put it down for good and do not allow them to continue such actions against any other countries in this world, in Europe, in Asia, wherever it is. And people would be fools if they thought that Russia is only a threat exclusively when you have a border with them. A foolish thought, very foolish thought, my friends. Russia is destabilizing many sub-Saharan African countries. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Sudan, you name it. In Sudan in particular, it's been pretty interesting actually, because we see Russian Wagner troops fighting against Ukrainian commandos in Sudan. Now that is interesting. A funny little meme I saw online is this meme about big brain, small brain. You know, small brain says Ukraine is a proxy war between Russia and America. Bigger brain says Ukraine is a war between Ukraine and the Russians. So as it is. And the biggest brain is to say that Ukraine is a proxy war between North Korea and South Korea. That was a funny meme. That was quite a funny meme. Because it does have a little bit of a caveat of truth. Of course, not the proxy war part. But the fact is, North Korea is one of the main supporters of the Russian terrorist regime. And South Korea is one of the main supporters of Ukraine. As they have sent a lot of shells to Ukraine, and the North Koreans have sent a lot of shells to Russia. So it is interesting how countries on the opposite side of the world are investing so much in this war that supposedly means nothing to them. But except it does, my friends. It very much does. This war means a lot for every person on this planet. For if anyone wants peace, world peace, if anyone wants to see that as more than a pipe dream, they will know that the war in Ukraine is also important to them. As Ukraine is the country that has made the biggest sacrifice in human history to achieve world peace for good. And yet, that attempt was fully and completely betrayed by the Russian terrorist regime. I remember some people came to us and told us, oh, you know, no attempts were made at reaching a peaceful solution, at trying diplomacy between Ukraine and Russia. A foolish thought, my friends. I'm sorry to say, but a foolish thought indeed. There have been countless attempts of reaching peace via diplomacy with Russia. And Russia has betrayed every single one of them. The Minsk agreements, the Ukraine-Russia Friendship Treaty, the Budapest Memorandum, all of these treaties betrayed by Russia. All of this is easily provable by even the most basic and rudimentary level of research. And yet, Russian propaganda does not focus on research. It focuses on feelings, of trying to manipulate, to condition people, considering their inherent biases. That is what they do. And that's exactly what we should stop, my friends. For us, for Ukraine, and for the free world. Because that, my friends, is the better future. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
And now, my friends, we're going to have another short musical break.
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Hello, my friends. Today we had a lovely gentleman who came here with an English flag, good old-fashioned St. George flag, which is a white flag with a red cross on it. Very similar to the Georgian flag, by the way. The Georgian flag is also a St. George flag, except it has smaller crosses in the little corners. Now, the British flag is an agglomeration of three flags. The flag of St. George of England, the flag of St. Patrick of Ireland, and the flag of St. Andrew of Scotland. That's why it's sometimes known as the Union Jack. That's how people call it. That is its symbolism. That is something important to be remembered. Every flag has its own symbolism. The flag of Portugal, for example, the country where I lived for a very long time, it has in the middle a sphere, which symbolizes the Portuguese discoveries and how they discovered a route to India through the south of Africa. It has more than half of it represented by red and less than half by green. The bigger half, the red half, symbolizes the large amount of blood that had to be spilled to get that little piece of land that Portugal had. The Ukrainian flag also has its own symbol.
Уже час идет.
It symbolizes the clear blue sky and the endless fields of wheat. The breadbasket of Europe, it's known. Now, my friends, it needs to be said that in the case of Russia, its symbols are not native to Russia at all. For example, the two-headed eagle. Many people think that the two-headed eagle is a symbol of Russia. It was always a symbol of Russia. Not true. The two-headed eagle. How are you, my friends? Well done. Have a nice day, guys. Okay. I'm not sure what those guys said, but I'm sure it was something interesting. Anyway, my friends, the two-headed eagle actually goes all the way back to the Byzantine Empire. The ancient Byzantine Empire had the two-headed eagle as its symbol, and the Russians stole that symbol and simply decided, oh, now it's ours. I mean, ingenious, truly. The name Russia is stolen from the Kievan Rus, the predecessor of Russia, Belarus, and most importantly, of Ukraine. As the capital was Kiev, and most of its lands were in Ukraine. And the zenith, the center of power, was in Ukraine, my friends. But of course, with Ivan the Terrible, with the creation of the Tsardom of Moscow, and later on, with the reign of Peter the Not-So-Great, who was, by the way, French, he wasn't even Russian himself. It's funny that Catherine the supposedly great, as they call her, she was German, and Peter the Great was French. So all of these great Russians who have created this awesome country of Russia, they were not Russians in the first place. A bit sad. A bit sad when your greatest heroes, the greatest heroes of your nation, are not members of your nation at all. A bit interesting too, how the Russians always love to appropriate Ukrainian great names. Like Tchaikovsky, for example, who was Ukrainian. Now, his grandfather, he had changed his name from Chaika to Tchaikovsky to sound more Russian. Because in those days, it was considered cool to be Russian. It was considered better to be Russian than to be Ukrainian. And that's why there's so many ethnic Ukrainians in Russia nowadays who call themselves Russian. Because they have been brainwashed for generations to do as such. But times change, my friends, and times are changing right now as we speak. And soon enough, the people within Russia will find an opportunity to have their own freedom also. That is the goal we are aiming for. And if the Russian terrorist regime wants to negotiate negotiations do not stop at the territories they have taken away from Ukraine, they have stolen from Ukraine. No, the negotiations stop at the possibility of the very collapse of Russia. That is where negotiations truly have to stop. And if Trump is wise in his negotiations with Putin and Zelensky, Trump is going to say that as well. You will understand that, hopefully. But we wait to see what will happen next. We cannot predict the future, no one can. But we can make assumptions based on the facts at hand, based on the actions of those people who have the power over this world. We have that possibility. You know, I do wonder what the bots here would say about the previous interaction I had with him. But my friend, although I do believe we should listen to our opposition, we should hear them. We should not listen in the way we believe in. No, never. They lie, left, right, and center. However, we should know what they say. We should know what kind of dirty tactics they use to try to manipulate the masses in their favor. And we should know how to face off against those dirty tactics by telling the world the truth, by exposing that truth, by exposing the leaders of all of these Russophiles, all of these useful idiots. None of these useful idiots would be moving if they were not led. And facing those leaders is so very important. However, of course, they're all a bunch of slippery weasels. Very difficult to get a good grip of them. Very difficult to finally get to debate them, to debunk them, because they're always avoiding. You know, my friends, I will change topics just a little bit. A few days ago, I watched a very interesting documentary about how a group of flat earthers, of people who believe that the earth is flat, went on a paid journey. Everything was paid for them, to Antarctica, so that they would see that the sun keeps shining through the night in Antarctica for half of the year. Day and night, the sun never stops there for half a year. They did not believe it, so they went there and they saw it. Now, obviously, they were not happy about it, but at least they admitted they were wrong. But you know what, my friends? When those flat earthers who saw it went back to their little echo chambers, to their little communities of flat earthers, you know what happened? They were seen as traitors. They were seen as heretics. They were seen as shills. They were not listened to as people who went ahead and put through the test their views. No! They were seen as people who were bought off by, oh, you know, it's the WHO. Oh, you know, it's the BlackRock. Oh, you know, it's the Jews. Oh, it's the Jews. It's always the Jews. My friends, we need to be better than that. We can't fall to conspiracy theories. We can't keep falling to this nonsense. Fortunately, a lot of Ukrainians know better because they have had direct experience with the Russian terrorist regime. But it really breaks my heart when occasionally I see even some of our own people fall prey to these conspiracy theories. We must not do that. And we must make sure that everyone abroad, everyone all over the world knows the Russian terrorist regime cannot be trusted. The Russian terrorist regime cannot be reasoned with. The Russian terrorist regime cannot be negotiated with unless you are negotiating from a position of strength. It is undeniable. That's exactly what Trump should do. He should negotiate from a position of strength. But once again, my friends, we cannot predict the future. We cannot tell if he's going to be wise or foolish in the negotiations. We will wait and we will see. And we will fairly assess what he has to say. And of course, what mental gymnastics Putin will try to pull to try to manipulate the world to work the way he wants it to work. But other than that, my friends, our message remains the same. We need to pressure the Russian terrorist regime as much as we can in order to make sure that they finally start respecting international laws More sanctions on Russia. More sanctions on Russia.
More sanctions on Russia.
More sanctions on Russia.
More sanctions on Russia.
Seize Russian assets. Seize Russian assets. Seize Russian assets. Tribunal for Russian war criminals.
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 No trade with Russia.
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 Віталік, може спитай там у наших дружбанів у лапках, чому Росія постійно скаржиться на санкції, якщо санкції не працюють? Чому вони завжди вимагають, заберіть санкції, ну по-російськи, звісно. Заберіть санкції, пожалуйста.
Вот Павло спрашивает у вас,
Чому вони весь час це кажуть, якщо санкції не працюють?
если санкции не работают, почему вы просите их убрать? Или почему санкции, которые вам на пользу, почему вы смеетесь с них? Павло спрашивает. Парадокс,
З одного боку, вони хочуть, щоб Україна програла. З іншого боку, вони кажуть, щоб всі українці йшли на фронт. Чомусь парадокс, щось не співпадає, друзі. Це важливо розуміти, що наш ворог завжди нам буде радити якраз те, що нас доведе до смерті. Не можна ніколи їх слухати. І головне слухатись того, що вони кажуть. Треба завжди чути, але не сприймати це близько до серця. Now, my friends, once again, I just made a little comment about the fact that Russophiles, they always say, sanctions, they never work, Russia is booming, economy is booming. But then at the same time, they always complain about those same sanctions. They say, those that evil Biden, he put some sanctions on us, how dare he? They need to lift those sanctions right now at this moment. What's the problem? What's up? What's the actual issue, my friends? That's a little bit of a paradox, isn't it? If they say sanctions are ineffective, why are they complaining about the sanctions? It's the same exact thing. Imagine this situation. Imagine a thief gets caught by the police and he gets sent to jail. And then he's in jail and he says, I actually love being in jail. Jail is my favorite place. I love picking up the soap every time I go have a shower. I love that. Imagine that happening. Imagine that happening, my friend. And then on the other hand, he gets tried. And he says, please, I changed my ways. Let me get out of jail. Please, I'm begging. I'm a new man now. It doesn't really work that way, does it? He either likes being in jail or he doesn't like being in jail. Now, obviously, he does not like being in jail. I'm sure almost no one would like being in jail. But of course, the Russian terrorist regime, they don't care about such things as consistency, legitimacy, truth, honesty. They don't care about any of that, my friends. The only thing they care about is whether or not they're going to get away with the crimes they plan to commit. And crimes they commit many, all day, every day. That is something we must remember. Every single one of us. We have to remember the crimes the Russian terrorist regime has committed and the people who suffered because of those crimes. The 6-man murders in cold blood by Russian terrorists on camera. A video that they filmed and they published online, gloating over the deaths of those individuals, of those heroes. They don't feel like they're going to be punished. But we must prove otherwise. We must tell people that the Russian terrorist regime tortures prisoners of war, that the Russian terrorist regime executes prisoners of war. And not only prisoners of war, they torture and execute just random people, civilians, anyone they can get their filthy hands on. And that is something we must remember. So my friends, in the name of those who have died, in the name of those who have suffered, in the name of those who are still dying and suffering as we speak, I'd like to invite you all to observe a minute of silence. Lest we forget. That's what's written on the cenotaph over there. Very important monument for the people of this country. We should all remember what it means. We should all respect it. For those who have died in World War II and World War I have died for the rights we possess nowadays. Sometimes people jokingly say that if Britain had lost the war against Nazi Germany, then we would all be speaking German. That's a little bit of a joke, my friends. Speaking German is the absolute least of your worries in that situation. The real problem is to allow a psychopathic genocidal regime win and allow it to dictate how you behave, what is right and what is wrong. I don't remember who said it, but this saying holds true. One generation is enough to turn the most, thank you very much, to turn the most virtuous people into pigs. One generation is enough for that. That's exactly what the Russian terrorist regime is trying to do with the free will. Via conspiracy theories, via populism, via subversion. And subversion is an important word. I invite anyone who can hear us to check out the videos of Yuri Bezmenov, an ex-KGB agent who explains in detail how the Russian and Soviet back then subversion works, how they mess with people's heads, how they teach them to believe in lies. Bezmenov is not the only ex-KGB agent who was exposing a bit too much about the Russian terrorist regime. Perhaps the number one Russian who opposed the Russian terrorist regime, the most respectable Russian out of all of the opposition, is, of course, Litvinenko, the man who was killed here in the United Kingdom, poisoned by KGB agents. Litvinenko released a book. If I'm not mistaken, it's called "The FSB is Blowing Up Moscow." A very interesting title, I'm sure you'll agree. This was with proof that the FSB was planting bombs all over Moscow and then blaming the Chechens of doing what they had done themselves. That's what we call an inside job, my friends. How are you, my friends? We are talking to all the people, to you guys, for example. Would you like to ask a question today, my friend? Who are we talking to? Well, we're talking to all of the people who are passing by. And also to all the people who can see us on the other side. Donald Trump, hopefully he will. We were talking about Donald Trump a while ago. You know, Trump has improved his rhetoric. I have to give him some props. Hopefully. Hopefully.
He will.
We really hope we will.
Believe in God. Donald Trump will finish this war.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. You know, we hope for that too. We do hope for it. Trump has improved his rhetoric. Trump has said some good things lately. However, my friends, we must not praise the day before sunset, as the saying goes. We must wait to see the real actions on the ground. We will see those actions one of these days, my friends. One day soon. We will see what happens. Now, once again, my friends, Minuta was perhaps the most respectable figure in Russian opposition. And he paid with his life for that opposition. Litvinenko stood up to the Russian regime, where most others laid down and kissed the regime's feet. And he died for it. That is why we should respect his memory. That is why we should respect anyone who takes up arms against the Russian terrorist regime. For those who stand shoulder to shoulder with the Ukrainian heroes, are heroes themselves. All of the people who wish to support us, who wish to support this great cause, all of those people deserve respect as well, my friends, no matter where they're from. For this is not a cause that involves exclusively Ukraine. This is a cause that includes the whole world, as Ukraine has made the biggest sacrifice in human history to achieve world peace by giving up the third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world in the Budapest Memorandum. Whilst Russia, for all their accusations, oh, you know, neo-Nazis in Ukraine, Nazi regime, Ukro-Nazis all over the place, for all those silly accusations, the Russian terrorist regime, back then the Soviet terrorist regime, was in full and complete cooperation with Nazi Germany at the beginning of World War II. There was even a time, my friends, when Great Britain was the only country officially at war with Nazi Germany, whilst the Soviet Union was invading Poland together with Nazi Germany. Let's not forget about that. Let's not forget about the fact that whilst the British were fighting the Nazis, the Soviets were giving the Nazis fuel to send their planes against Britain. That, my friends, is something very important for all of us to know, and for those who do not know, to learn, so that we can prepare for the future. As Russia has changed nothing about the way they behave, about the way they see the world, about the way they want to achieve their goals by extermination and terrorism. Slava Ukraini! Slava Nazi! Ukraina! Ukraina! Україна! Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі! And now, my friends, we're going to have another short musical break. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Friends, I'd like to remind you all that our rallies are open for everyone who'd like to join us, and we also answer questions from the crowd if they are willing to answer something of us. Like the gentleman who asked us by us to be asked. Alas, they did not develop most of those questions. They just asked who are we talking to. We answer, but it's fair. It's fine. Not all questions are super developed. Now, important to remind again, my friends, that our rallies happen here on 10 Downing Street on Wednesdays at 6, Fridays at 6, and on Sundays at 3 o'clock. So please come and show your support. Very important that you do. And also, another important announcement. 24th February, which is going to be a Monday, we will have a very important event. It will be another anniversary of this full-scale war. Now, it will not be a celebration, but a mourning, obviously, of this terrible crime committed against the Ukrainian people. On 24th February, we will rally at at Trafalgar Square, over there. And we will stay there from 6 until 10, around that. So please come and show your support there. It will be very important to have people show up. 24th February at 6 o'clock.
До 10-ї.
Друзі, повторюю анонсмент всім, шановні люди. Наші протести, наші ралі, як ви знаєте, тут на Анонсі у середу 6, п'ятницю 6, неділю 3. 24 числа наступного місяця будемо мати великий івент на Трафалгарському сквері о 6 годині, від 6 до 10 години. Буде музика, будуть промови, буде багато всього іншого. Будь ласка, приходьте і будемо разом там стояти. Також маю вам всім сказати, що у нашому ком'юніті, у нашому суспільстві лондонському ми обговорювали можливість зменшити кількість протестів з 3 до 2. Скоріше всього, п'ятниця відпаде від 24 числа наступного місяця. Після цього числа, скоріше всього, у п'ятницю більше не буде протестів. Ми будемо вам більше казати, коли будемо більше знати за цю тему, але скоріше всього буде тільки в середу і в неділю, після 24 числа наступного місяця. Поки що до 24 і все як завжди. Поки що все тримається так само. My friends, I'd like to also let you know that we've had this discussion in our community for a while now. Most likely, the rallies on Friday will not be happening after 24th February. So for now, until 24th, the rallies are on the same days. Wednesdays 6, Fridays at 6, Sundays at 3. But after 24th February, most likely, on Fridays, there will be no more rallies. So only Wednesdays and Sundays after 24th February. But before that, everything is the same, right? Hopefully no one makes any mistakes about that. But my friends, once again, it's very important to see you all here today. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to invite you all to come here as many times as you have the time to spare. And of course, our rallies are very important to let the people know what's going on in Ukraine. And there's a lot to say about the situation in Ukraine. There's always a lot to say about this. However, our time here is limited. And soon, that time is going to come to an end as our rallies end at 8 o'clock on every Wednesday and Friday. But before we go, my friends, I think it's good to also mention the fact that although many people have claimed in the past, oh, you know, Ukraine is lost, everything is lost, everything is done for. Some people have said that. Some people who have a lot of power. However, Ukraine still stands. And Ukraine could win this war if it receives the aid necessary. all of the aid necessary. Not just the aid that allows it to survive. Hopefully, my friends, I hope that soon this war will come to an end. We all hope for that. But it's very important to give Ukraine ironclad assurances to make sure that the Russian terrorist regime does not go for another try. And you know what's the number one assurance? So let's say it together, my friends. Ukraine in NATO! 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 You know, a few days ago, I had a conversation with a girl from Slovakia, and she let me know that actually Robert Fico is not Fico at all, it's Robert Fico. So I guess I've been misspelling his name, but alas, on a lot of English-speaking media, he is called Fico, so I can't completely blame just myself. But my friends, apparently Robert Fico, a few days ago, he has threatened that if Ukraine is not ditched, if Ukraine keeps receiving aid, if Ukraine does not restart the gas to flow to Slovakia and to the rest of Europe, the Russian gas, then Slovakia may consider to leave the European Union, which is a very funny threat to make. You know, the United Kingdom is a very important country. Slovakia is quite dependent on the European Union, same as Hungary. You know, Hungary gets a lot of handouts from the European Union. So it's very funny to see Orban consistently bite the hand that feeds him. It's very funny to see that. Personally, my opinion on that, go right ahead. If Orban and Fico want their countries out of the EU, let them leave. Let them leave NATO. Let Hungary leave NATO. Go right ahead. My friends, these countries are Trojan horses anyway. Perhaps if the EU and NATO speak to them clearly in no uncertain terms, hey guys, if you keep this up, you may actually be out of our organization. And perhaps then they will stop spewing out such idiotic nonsense as, oh, you know, if we stop aid for Ukraine, the war is going to end. Stupid. How are you, my friend? Thank you very much. But my friends, it is silly to think that by ending aid to Ukraine, the war is going to end. It's not. The only way to end this war is to make Russia stop this war. That, my friends, is what we should all aim for. And that is what we can achieve with the help of the rest of the world. Now, my friends, as we said before, thank you all very much for coming to this rally. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Slava naciji! Ukraina! 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 Героям України тричі! Ворогам України тричі! We are now going to end this rally as we started it with the Ukrainian anthem. But this time I don't have to sing it.
України, ні слава, ні воля, ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля, згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці, душу й тіло ми положим нашу свободу козацького роду, душу й тіло ми положим, свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Дякую.
Друзья и недруги, заканчиваем. О, тут у нас что-то начали писать. Роланд, Украина никогда не восстановится. Восстановится. Почему не восстановится? Немцы ж восстановились, Германия. Хватит. Идите работать. Да все работаем, не бойся. Куплю гривну. Так. Твари непонятные. Идите защищать ключами. Тварь это ты, Сережа. Так, Сергей, ты в точку. Ага. Эти алкаши потом в бар идут бухать, им все становится. Тебе, как еду, никто не продаст. Это российский выклад. Дон Хуан, у вас тоже люди проваливаются в дырку. И тоже там умирают. Так что, когда говоришь про кого-то плохо, то посмотри, что у тебя дома-то происходит. Алкашня вся в Раше. Это российский выклад. Трамп вам в помощь. Да, Трамп вам дал 99 дней осталось. Потом уже не кричите, не квакайте и не вякайте. Немцев их правительство не уничтожало. Немцев их правительство не уничтожало. Ну, немцы, Третий рейх, по крайней мере, не убивал и не бомбил немцев. Германоязычных не убивал. То, что делаете вы, ну, вы хуже немцев даже, хуже Третьего рейха. Зеля вас уничтожает. Нет, нас уничтожает твой президент, который бомбит Украину больше 1000 дней. Вот кто нас уничтожает. Зеля не бомбит Украину. Дон Хуан, у тебя что-то, ну, с логикой очень плохо. Автор, ты дебил. Сережа дебил, твой отец. Путин хуйло, воистину хуйло. Это был сарказм. Сережа, 2 фунта задонать и будешь в почете. А так ты можешь тут языком молоть. И твои сопли здесь никому не нужны. Кто саботировал Минские? Из Минских вышли вы в 2022 году, в феврале. Из Минских соглашений вышли вы, Российская Федерация. Красивый гимн. Так. Сегодня долго не разговариваем. Еще 5 минут. До 2 часов дотягиваю и выключаюсь. Вы их не соблюдали. Вы их тоже не соблюдали, Дон Хуан. Вы их тоже не соблюдали. Их не соблюдал никто. Потому что они были прописаны так, чтобы их никто не мог соблюдать. А що Влад? Влад утік?
Влад утік, все, нема Влада.
Ну ладно, п'ятиром. Побачимось. Вы их тоже не собирались соблюдать, вот в чем прикол. Ну, Про мінські умови. Хочеш що-нибудь сказати?
Спицы или курица?
Мінськ Agreement. Значить так, я скажу більше за другий Мінськ, бо він особливо цікавий. Ви знаєте, що другий Мінськ тривав менше 24 годин. Чому? Тому що перед підписанням Мінську була битва під Дебальцевим. І у той якраз момент, що підписали Мінськ, українці перестали.
Дебальцево було як за Україною.
Так, Дебальцево було там між проукраїнцями і промоскалями, коротше. Ну, ближче до теми. Що таке? Коротше, суть у тому, що вони там, битва вже була якби посередині битви, там ні туди, ні сюди не йшло. Підписали Мінськ, другий Мінськ, і українці перестали воєнні дії у тому районі. Що зробили москалики? Вони почали нападати на українців якраз тоді, коли вони не бились, і оточили, зробили котел під Дебальцевим, і отак виграли битву під Дебальцевим. Оце наші вовчики-братчики московіти, отак ви і спаскудили другий мінський договір. Так. Чи є, чекай, еті твої другі вообще дауни, а чого він на фронті? Ну, бачите, от як завжди, нема ніяких відповідей, нема ніякої розмови, все, що є, це мутюки, образи, чекай, ви по Росії дроном, а вона, о, блін, я забув сказати, відсвяткувати трошки, що дронами парнули по Росії вчора. Блін, забув, дякую, що нагадав, як його. Чекай, Артур Трусевич, чи як? А ні, це хтось інший, чекай. Цей знову, а чого ви не на фронті? Ви по Росії дронами, і вона по вам орешником. О, орешник! Орешничок! О, орешник, да. Усіма 2-3 орешниками. Скільки там лишилось? 5-6? Каже британці кажуть взагалі, що у них лишилось там зо десяток тих орешників. Да, поздоровляю. Так само, як армата. Скільки тих армат у них було, той новий танк. Ні разу не показався на фронті. По-моєму, ні, чекай, все нормально.
Все добре.
Все нормально. Я вам відосик скину, посмотрите эти відео. Да, дякую за вірус. Що за город? Що за город, питають? Прага, Прага. Гарно. Гарно, дуже гарно. Дивіться, вже щось заткнулися ці. Останній час Максим Офішл. А ви чого не воюєте? Чекай. Це якийсь Максим Офішл. А що в нього це таке? Це він з тобою щось?
Так, це мій.
Все нормально. Це він відповідає цим, зрозуміло. Ні, все нормально.
Камеру переключи, лице
Артур
покажи.
Трусевич, а на що їм моє лице? Вони вже мене бачили на промовах, вже достатньо бачили. Орешники, чекай, Дон Хуан. Це цікаво, чекай. Орешника не существует, Кримського моста нету, ракет на 3 дня, я щось не допираю. Це він типа...
Орешника нет?
Є орешник, лиш мало.
А що зробив орешник?
А нічого особливого не зробив.
Стояв, так і стоїть.
100%. Там парнули по заводу, трошки підпалився завод, але нічого там не знищилося. Потушили вогонь, все, продовжує працювати завод. Ладно, давай, Віталік, ти вже закінчуй це все.
Що за город?
Вже помирились трошки, бо...
Орешника не существует. Ладно, все, мы выключаемся. Пока.
Капець.